about his secret being exposed. He instructed the system to purchase the Eternal Sword, and the system confirmed the transaction. He warned the faceless man of his impending doom, then prepared to use the Eternal Sword. With a swift attack, he struck the creature's chest, darting behind it. Seeing that its defense was broken, he used his ant's great strength to deliver a powerful punch, shattering the faceless man's defense. He continued the assault, reducing the creature to pieces and spattering blood everywhere. Later, Lai Yao, accompanied by 2 men, arrived calling his name and asked about the faceless man. He replied, "It's scattered all over the exhibition hall." The system informs him that he has vanquished the faceless man, rewarding him with plus 350 experience points and plus 400 gold. In addition, he levels up, earning 5 undisputed points. Considering his advancement, he realizes that conventional animals will no longer suffice for accruing more experience. One of the 2 men inquires whether he defeated the faceless man single-handedly and without any weapons. He responds, stating that the task wasn't particularly difficult. The bald man suggests an investigation of the scene and advises him to return to school. As he strolls past the bald man, he waves goodbye. The bald man marvels at Ye Bei's strength despite him not yet having awakened, assuming that Ye Bei must also be a formidable martial artist. Later, the principal of King City's Third High, Wang Zhenguo, commends him for confronting the faceless man solo. Responding modestly, Ye Bei tells the principal he's overpraising him, asserting that he is merely a bit stronger than average. Suddenly, someone exclaims that Ye Bei managed to obliterate the faceless man using only his bare hands, an accomplishment impossible without considerable strength. This declaration draws the attention of everyone present. The principal introduces this individual as Lai Qingshan, the stern-looking team leader of King City's law enforcement 3rd team. Sengu advises Qingshan not to intimidate Ye Bei, as he's their school's beacon of hope. Acknowledging this, Qingshan offers an apology. Qingshan, addressing Ye Bei, emphasizes the significance of him having slain a faceless man single-handedly. As the law enforcement team leader, he needs to understand the circumstances fully. Ye Bei reflects before mentioning that the faceless man was behaving unusually. Taken aback, Qingshan queries further. Ye Bei reveals that a faceless man is a solitary beast. However, it had appeared in a crowded museum, which seemed out of character. Qingshan, standing up, asks if there were any other oddities. Ye Bei recounts his combat with the creature, noting how it confined its movements to the exhibition hall, as though searching for something. Sighing, Qingshan extends his hand in gratitude for Ye Bei's cooperation. The 2 shake hands, leaving Ye Bei wondering if Qingshan is assessing his strength. Suddenly, Qingshan's grip tightens, prompting Ye Bei to do the same, believing he must retaliate. Qingshan ponders whether Ye Bei's formidable strength is innate or if there are other secrets to it. Ye Bei is astounded, contemplating whether this is the power of an awakened individual, seemingly 10 times stronger than an average person. Their conversation is interrupted when someone rushes in, calling for Qingshan. Qingshan asks what is it, and the intruder is unable to complete his sentence before Qingshan releases Ye Bei's hand abruptly, much to Ye Bei's annoyance. Qingshan dismisses Ye Bei, instructing him to return home and rest. The man hands a document to Qingshan, who, upon reading it, announces grimly that trouble is imminent. Later that night, at Ye Bei's house, he prepares a hot pot, exclaiming that consuming a hot pot at home is the pinnacle of happiness, especially when it's filled with the meat of ferocious beasts, such as a single-eyed wolf. After consuming the dish, he shouts in agreement that the costly beast meat is worth every penny. The system notifies him of an increase in his strength and defense by plus 0.1, leaving him astonished that consuming beast meat could enhance his abilities. Rising from his chair, he decides to review his other achievements of the day. Opening the system store, he sees 2 potions for sale. The smaller potion, priced at 10 gold, restores 100 HP over 5 minutes, while the larger potion, costing 100 gold, offers immediate recovery of 100 HP. Weighing their potential to boost his endurance significantly, he opts to test the smaller potion first. As his body glows, he hears a noise outside. Approaching the door cautiously, he spots a figure seated on a chair, and wonders about their identity. Upon kicking the chair, he demands to know who they are, why they entered his house, and their intentions. His fury turns to confusion when he recognizes the face of Lai Yao, who begins to blush and calls his name. She slaps him across the face and labels him a scoundrel. Bewildered by her unannounced visit, Ye Bei asks why she didn't knock. Lai Yao retorts that the door was unlocked and she was enticed by the delicious-looking beast meat on his table. Over dinner, she questions him about the source of the ferocious beast meat and whether it could increase one's chances of awakening. Ye Bei informs her that he purchased it from a slaughterhouse, emphasizing its rarity. Curious, he asks her why she sought him out. She sets her food aside to explain that during the encounter with the faceless man, she noticed the green light dispersing when he destroyed it. Lai Yao postulates that the faceless man may not have been acting independently but under control. She references the ferocious beast code 359, a designation for infected beasts, which can infect and manipulate other beasts. However, Ye Bei, engrossed in his meal, leaves Lai Yao at a loss for words. She shouts at him, demanding his attention. In response, Ye Bei advises her to calm down, assuring her that everything should be fine. When she asks for clarification, he explains that he's aware of her concerns about potential infected beasts hidden in the city. Yet, he trusts the higher-ups to address this issue, as evidenced by the quick response of the law enforcement team and the involvement of Lai Qingshan. Ye Bei is more intrigued about why the faceless man risked discovery by appearing in the museum. Suddenly, Lai Yao recalls something and suggests to Ye Bei that it might be related to a specific matter. When he queries further, she reveals that it involves the tragic history associated with the Qingshan Museum. A long time ago, there was a frail lizard that had experienced a great deal of misfortune, including having its tail bitten off. When this lizard approached the lake one day, it was stunned to find that its entire body had turned black. Gradually, its body grew larger, and those who were once its neighbors became its prey. Slowly but surely, it developed not only wisdom and physical strength but also extraordinary power. No creature could resist the corrosive black fog emanating from its body, and its immense strength made all creatures quake in fear. After thousands of years of combat, it ascended as the undisputed beast king of the region. However, it was not satisfied. It yearned for even more strength and sensed a more potent aura further afield. Drawn to the city, it believed that by consuming enough humans, it could become stronger. It indeed ascended as the fifth beast king among the ferocious beasts. However, at the same time, the Pope intervened. The newly crowned Beast King was defeated, and the Pope laid down an array, sealing its corpse underneath the city to prevent future calamities. The city of King was later built on this former battlefield wasteland. At a point, Ye Bei asked if the recent events were related to the deceased Beast King. Lai Yao response suggested that there was currently too little information to judge, but given that the leader of the law enforcement team had been dispatched, it was unlikely to be a trivial matter. Ye Bei, hearing this, began to panic. He couldn't believe that before even leaving the beginner's village, he was already faced with such a boss battle. Lai Yao stood up, expressing her gratitude to him for resolving her doubts and thanking him for the meal. She then warned him to be cautious in all his future endeavors. The following day at school, their teacher reassured them that the law enforcement team had eliminated the faceless man, so there was no need to panic. The news of the law enforcement team capturing 13 faceless men stunned Ye Bei. His teacher confirmed the news and advised the students not to leave their homes unless necessary, given the faceless man's recent activities. Ye Bei contemplated the increase in infected beasts but felt that the situation was still under control. However, he was uneasy about leaving the leader to deal with the Beast King alone and resolved to grow stronger himself. The teacher announced an upcoming visit from the Jiang'an area's General Guardian Envoy, advising the students to be on their best behavior to uphold the school's reputation. The announcement brought a wave of excitement amongst the girls, as they considered themselves fortunate to have the General Guardian Envoy visit their school. The boys were astounded, believing their school to be renowned. Lai Yao was taken aback because the Jiangnan area's General Guardian Envoy, Lai Dangxian, was ranked amongst the top 3 Awakeners in China. She felt that the situation was indeed serious. Meanwhile, Ye Bei found himself feeling uneasy about the General Guardian Envoy's visit, and wondered why he felt this way. Just then, a system notification appeared, stating that player could change their professions upon reaching level 10. Ye Bei found himself puzzled by the concept of a profession change and realized that reaching level 10 could be his opportunity for a power boost. However, since the livestock provided minimal experience, he decided to look for alternate ways to level up faster. Once the class ended, Ye Bei received a phone call. Answering it, and asks who is it. Boss Kyan tells him he's lucky because he got a rare beast this time. He asked what kind of beast. Boss Kyan, who excitedly informed him about acquiring a rare beast, a 3-headed griffin. Surprised, Ye Bei asked Boss Kyan where he got the high-rank ferocious beast from. Boss Kyan informed him that one of his adventurer team friends had captured 2 males and 1 female griffin, and was selling the males for 800k and the female for 500k, and asked Ye Bei if he wants them. Ye Bei affirmed and requested they be saved for him, to which Boss Kyan responded, reminding him not to forget to bring the money when he arrives, and then hung up the phone. Ye Bei reflected that even if he were to exchange all his coins for cash, he would still be short by 500k. Suddenly, a hand gripped his shoulder from behind. It was Lai Yao, pointing out his constant distraction and questioning when he would ever be focused. Putting on an act of destitution and vulnerability, he confessed to Lai Yao his recent financial struggles and inquired if she knew of any part-time jobs that paid substantially. In response to his query about needing money, Ye Bei nodded emphatically, affirming with a yes. She offered her assistance, proposing that she could transfer some money to him if he helped her with a task. Surprised, Ye Bei contemplated how Lai Yao usually refrained from ostentation, and he had never suspected she was wealthy. He confidently assured her that no matter the nature of the task, he would accomplish it. As he said this, he started blushing and began to say, "Even if." However, Lai Yao interrupted, blushing herself, warning him not to dare say anything inappropriate, and clarifying that she had no interest in him. He retorted that his intention was to help her deal with some bastard, questioning what she was imagining, which left her stunned. She instructed him to accompany her for the entire day tomorrow, leaving Ye Bei perplexed. The following day, Lai Yao was praying to the gods Zeus and Jehovah. He felt surprised, as these were the most revered gods. He considered them magnificent, believing that without these gods, the earth would likely have become a home for ferocious beasts. He asked Lai Yao if she borrowed a vast sum of money from him solely to compel him to accompany her to prayer class and questioned whether it wasn't too extravagant. She explained to him that prayer classes increased the chances of awakening. However, since he had been neglecting them, his power remained dormant. She believed it to be a waste. She proposed that if he managed to awaken, she might benefit from some good luck and also awaken successfully. His response was that spending 500,000 merely to gain a little good luck seemed absurd. He felt that he could never comprehend the world of the wealthy. He glanced back and saw a girl praying. He asked Lai Yao if prayer really had any effect. She assured him that it did, and explained that primal gems were precious. There were not many of these gems in the world, which is why most people prayed to statues and portraits. When he inquired about the gems, she reprimanded him for neglecting class, as it had been explained there. She went on to explain that primal gems were stones radiated and imbued with a hint of divine power. Statues crafted with primal gems possessed some divine power and could bless believers. However, sincerely praying to other statues or portraits could also increase the chances of awakening. He smiled, admitting he didn't believe in any gods. His only aim was to level up and become stronger. However, with so many gods, he couldn't help but wonder why China didn't have any. He asked her if she had heard any myths or legends about Chinese gods. She replied in the negative and informed him that China was a land abandoned by the gods and there were no legends of any gods. He found it strange that every other civilization had legends of gods associated with their land. How could China, so vast, not have any? He contemplated that maybe it wasn't that there weren't any, but rather that there had been a rupture, loss, or even erasure. He felt that since he had come to this world as a Chinese person, he bore the responsibility to seek the truth of that land. He told her that he had suddenly remembered something and needed to leave. She questioned if he was not going to pray anymore and reminded him that awakening was not an easy task. He assured her not to worry. Even if he didn't awaken, someday he would surpass the gods too. She was left confused and thought he was crazy. She wondered where his confidence came from. Outside, he contemplated that it was time to enhance his strength. Somewhere in an underground base, a cage was full of talismans. The system displayed a 3-headed griffin male, level 20, with a battle power of 15-0. The evaluation was that it had 3 heads, each possessing lightning, fire, and wind attributes. It warned not to get close, as a breath from it could turn anyone into ashes, and an encounter would mean certain death. The system then showed another 3-headed griffin, a female at level 17 with a battle power of 12-0. The evaluation was the same as the males. Boss Kyan asked Ye Bei what he thought, commenting that he must have broadened his horizons because this was high-quality merchandise, and Ye Bei was the first person he thought of. Ye Bei was stunned by the battle power of over 1,000 of the 3-headed griffins. He thought that the faceless man, with only a battle power of 85, was truly trash. Ye Bei asked Boss Kyan if he hadn't mentioned that there were 3 ferocious beasts. Boss Kyan informed him that capturing a 3-headed griffin was challenging, so his friend from the capture team would send it over shortly and asked for payment. Ye Bei reassured him not to worry because they would transfer the money to him shortly. He then requested Boss Kyan to introduce him to the members of the capture team. Boss Kyan inquired what he needed to know them for. Ye Bei replied that he might require their help in the future to hunt the ferocious beasts. Boss Kyan, thinking Ye Bei must be reading some weird fantasy novel and had lost his mind, simply agreed, as Ye Bei was a customer. He told him they'd arrive a bit later. As he gazed at the 3-headed griffin, he thought that with his current strength, he'd be finished in front of it. He decided it would be safer for him to wait for the hunting team to arrive and kill it. He informed Boss Kyan to let him know when the hunting team arrived. Back at his home, he was in the shower when suddenly he heard a noise. He hid and tried to identify the sound, wondering if it could be a tank rolling in. He moved closer to the door, concerned that the city was not safe, and decided to investigate. As he was about to open the door, it broke and was flung hard, hitting the wall. Ultraman was sent rolling, and when the door finally hit the floor, a dinosaur was revealed amidst the smoke. When the smoke cleared, he saw the girl who had kicked the door. It was Luo Yang, an adventurer and member of the hunting team, and the daughter of Luo Qingshan. She demanded to know if he was the pervert looking for them. Ye Bei angrily shouted back, asking who she was calling a pervert when she was the one who had smashed the door. She retorted that he was at home dressed like that, so he must be a pervert. His towel fell from his waist, leaving him shocked. He pulled up his towel, blushing, and shouted at her that it was a misunderstanding. Yang walked out of the bathroom, declaring she'd had enough of this perverted bean sprout, and wasn't interested in talking to him. She looked back at him and told him they had brought the final three-headed griffin. If he had anything to say, she would be waiting for him at the slaughterhouse. Later at the slaughterhouse, Boss Kyan informs him that person is a friend of his hunting team. The man introduces himself as Luo Lu Qingshan. Ye Bei gazes at Lu Qingshan and thinks it's no wonder he's a member of the hunting team. Merely standing there, Lu Qingshan emanates a sense of oppression. Then, Lu Qingshan introduces his daughter. Ye Bei glares at Yang, referring to her as a violent woman. Lu Qingshan asks Ye Bei why he wanted to see them. Ye Bei tells him he requires a large number of ferocious beasts, and hopes they can collaborate. Lu Qingshan inquires as to why he needs so many fierce creatures. Ye Bei responds that he possesses a hereditary technique that requires the slaughter of a savage beast, explaining that he uses the blood to forge his invincible heart. Boss Kyan and the others are left speechless. Lu Qingshan feels duped because he's never heard of such a method before. Yang informs Lu Qingshan that Ye Bei is just a twisted idiot with a deranged mind. Ye Bei retorts angrily at Yang, calling her a violent woman, and instructs her to stay silent. Lu Qingshan informs Ye Bei that since he's paid for it, the three-headed griffin belongs to him, and asks if he's certain he wants to kill it. Ye Bei confirms, but he admits his current strength isn't sufficient, thus requiring Lu Qingshan's assistance to weaken the beast until it's on its last breath. Lu Qingshan agrees to this arrangement. Entering the cage, Lu Qingshan eyes the three-headed griffin intently. He then launches a swift punch at the creature, causing it to collapse on the ground. Upon regaining its footing, the griffin lets out a deafening roar. The sheer volume of the roar leaves Lu Qingshan stunned, while Yang and Boss Kyan are forced to cover their ears. Yang notices Ye Bei not covering his ears and wonders if he's actually stronger than he appears. Lu Qingshan jumps and launches at the three-headed griffin. He readies his fist and punches it in the head, making one of its heads bleed. Then, it collapses on the ground, unconscious. Lu Qingshan tells Ye Bei it's down to its last breath and that it's up to him now, while Ye Bei looks at him, amazed. Ye Bei goes to the cage and approaches it slowly. He punches the griffin and a system message pops up showing that the player's powers are too low to break its defense, leaving him speechless. Yang mocks him, telling him bean sprouts are just bean sprouts, and advises him not to waste his energy. Before she can finish speaking, she is shocked to see Ye Bei punching the three-headed griffin with a series of hard, fast, and continuous punches. Yang asks Lu Qingshan if he feels Ye Bei's power is continuously increasing. Lu Qingshan ponders whether Ye Bei has such power without awakening and wonders if the hereditary technique he mentioned could be true. Meanwhile, Ye Bei continues punching the griffin, repeating 10 times the power multiple times. He angrily declares that he don't believe he can't break its defense. With one last punch, the griffin explodes into pieces while a system message pops up showing that he killed the three-headed griffin, earning plus 7,000 experience and plus 35,000 gold. Another notification from the system pops up, elevating him 7 levels up to level 9. Additionally, the system congratulates him on gaining 21 undistributed attribute points and acquiring the skill Lion's Roar. Lion's Roar, which consumes half of his stamina, can unleash 3 times the combat power in one roar, attacking all enemies in front. The special trait of this skill is its certain chance of defeating the enemy and causing internal injuries. Examining his stats, Ye Bei contemplates the fact that Lion's Roar is an AoE skill, and considers how he might use it. He smiles, realizing that leveling up by killing higher level monsters indeed works. Lu Qingshan calls him over. When Ye Bei looks back, Lu Qingshan tells him that while he has impressive strength, he unfortunately does not know how to utilize it. He suggests that if Ye Bei undergoes formal training, he could improve by at least another 20%. He then walks away, waving, and informs Ye Bei that if he wishes to improve, he can find him at the Qingshan blacksmith shop. Ye Bei waves back, promising Lu Qingshan that he will definitely go. Yang calls out to Lu Qingshan, causing him to stop. He comments on how, after killing the three-headed griffin, Ye Bei's aura has become stronger and how truly incredible it is. The next day, at Ye Bei's home, he is practicing with his sword. He considers how dealing with the griffin even after its death is still so troublesome. However, he also acknowledges that the three-headed griffin should indeed provide enough for him to eat for a while, and should also significantly increase his attributes. Suddenly, his phone rings. He answers it, and Lai Yao angrily asks where he has been, informing him that he has been absent from class for a day. Ye Bei tells her that he has something to confess to her. At school, Lai Yao is shocked and repeats his statement. She tells him that she's coming to his place right away, leaving the two guys behind her confused. She immediately starts running, thinking she has to hurry over. Later at Ye Bei's house, Lai Yao was chasing Ye Bei, asking him to save some food for her. However, he retorted, "Quick hands have, slow hands have none." Once they finished their meal, they were both satisfied and burping contentedly. She was surprised to find out that he had borrowed money to buy three-headed griffins. He agreed, but confessed that he hadn't expected her to overhear his cravings for three-headed griffins and show up in less than 10 minutes. Feeling shy, she protested, saying that monster meat could improve physical fitness, so skipping a class for it didn't matter. Ye Bei burst into laughter, and when she asked why, he replied, still chuckling, that he'd just imagined a scene of Lai Yao leading the class and skipping school. Lai Yao punched him in response, prompting an apology from Ye Bei. She then asked him if he had been following the news that day. She told him about the law enforcement team issuing a red alert that morning and that the chief guardian of the Jiangnan region had arrived in Qingcheng City to oversee the situation. With gravity in her voice, she told him she feared a significant crisis was brewing in Qingcheng City. Ye Bei felt that Lai Yao's analysis was plausible, as he'd been feeling an ominous unease lately, like something significant was about to transpire. All he felt he could do was level up as quickly as possible. Suddenly, Lai Yao took out a notebook from her bag, making Ye Bei ask what she was planning. She slammed the notebook on the table and informed him that they couldn't go back to school now, so she'd just give him some extra lessons. He was surprised and wondered if he had heard her correctly. She responded by criticizing him for refusing to go to the museum without possessing common knowledge, making Ye Bei scream loudly. Later, after an exhausting session of learning, she praised him for how well he had done and encouraged him to keep up the good work. The prospect of continuing these lessons in the future seemed to drain the life out of him. When he asked if they had to persist with this regimen, she shot him a sharp look and asked if there was a problem. He awkwardly replied, "No problem." As they were leaving, she told him they'd see each other the next day. He suggested that he should escort her home. She blushed, looked away, and told him it wasn't necessary as she only lived 3 streets away, a 10-minute walk. Ye Bei insisted that they hurry as it would be more dangerous after dark. While they were walking, Lai Yao felt something strange. She commented on the beauty of the sunset, but Ye Bei seemed distracted. When she asked if he was listening, he apologized, admitting that he'd zoned out, and asked what she'd said. She brushed it off as nothing and urged him to quicken their pace as it was getting dark. He glanced to his side and stared down the dark alley. He called her name, asking why she didn't stay at his place since his house had enough room for 2 people. She shyly looked back, questioning what he had said, while contemplating his straightforwardness and wondering if she should agree. Suddenly, he heard a voice counting and mentioning a wooden man. He quickly grabbed Lai Yao and urged her to hasten, which made her inquire about what was happening. He thought he had detected an unusual presence in the alley, certain that it was a monster. When she asked him if they were retreating, he informed her of several other presences ahead, making the situation quite troublesome. Then, they stopped and observed a crowd of wooden puppets advancing towards them. The wooden puppets looked at them ominously. Ye Bei realized they were surrounded. A wooden puppet informed them they were to be punished. The system popped up, displaying the wooden man at level 8, with a combat power of 100. The evaluation indicated that, except for the head, it was entirely made of wood and moved stiffly. It enjoyed playing the wooden man game and would administer punishments to anyone who broke the rules. A note indicated that the punishment of the wooden man was to transform the rule breaker into a wooden man as well. Ye Bei smiled confidently, thinking he'd have to face more trouble, but it turned out to be only a combat power of 100. When she asked if they could break through, he replied that it wasn't necessary and assured her not to worry, promising to handle everything promptly. She warned him not to boast, but he just smiled confidently and asked her to cover her ears as he prepared to attack. The wooden figure lunges at them, then it uses the lion's roar, an attack that drains half its stamina but delivers thrice the normal combat power. With a single roar, it targets all enemies before it. The ability has a certain chance of deafening enemies and shattering their internal organs. It strikes the wooden figure, which breaks apart. Fragments of the wooden figure scatter on the floor, and she marvels that it was defeated with just 1 hit. She then questions when he became so powerful. Picking up a wooden arm, he notes that they're all made of wood, inedible, but yielding rich experience. Several system notifications pop up showing he gains plus 250 experience and plus 300 gold, multiplied by 4. Tossing aside the arm, he observes that with the current technology, there's no need for firewood, rendering these wooden creatures utterly pointless. Suddenly, he spots something on the ground, an attractive bead. He asks Lai Yao if she knows what it is. Lai Yao explains that if he had paid attention in class, he would have known it's the core of the wooden figure. The core, she elaborates, has potent vitality and can be used as medicine for Awakeners. Moreover, it could be sold at a high price. His eyes light up at the prospect of selling it, and he requests all of them. Laughing at his fixation on wealth, she tosses him the core, promising not to compete for it. He nods in understanding, carefully studying the core. As he is engrossed, another person approaches him, which confuses him. The newcomer asks why he's still there, warning him about the dangerous monsters prowling outside. Ye Bei tells him it's particularly perilous at night. Jiawen is shocked to see the shattered wooden figure on the ground and asks if they were responsible. Ye Bei beams proudly while Lai Yao points at him, confirming that he single-handedly vanquished the monsters. This revelation leaves Jiawen stunned, causing him to regard Ye Bei as a monster. Ye Bei greets them and introduces himself. The revelation that he single-handedly defeated the faceless man leaves them stunned. He boasts that his family breeds talents, a statement his associate readily agrees with. He then introduces himself as Ye Jianwen, the captain of the 6th team, and commends Ye Bei's prowess. He speculates that Ye Bei might become a level 9 powerhouse in the future. Ye Bei modestly brushes off the praise while pondering about level 9, promising to surpass even the gods given time. Lai Yao ponders the implications. A level 9 powerhouse is the same tier as the 4 great guardians of China, and Ye Bei could reach that. She wonders if she'll eventually fall behind him. Jiawen advises them to head home, warning that the situation in Qingcheng City has become unpredictable. They later reach Lai Yao's house, where she thanks him for escorting her home. She tells him that the Monster King has set its sights on the corpse of the dark magic lizard, spelling trouble for Qingcheng City. He reassures her, claiming that solutions always present themselves when needed. As she closes the door, he is left dumbfounded, wondering what just happened and whether he offended her in some way. At the underground slaughterhouse, Ye Bei is poised over the body of a dead 3-headed griffin, a knife in hand. Lai Yao challenges him, doubting the effectiveness of his much-boasted family technique. He studies the 3-headed griffin and muses that even with the wooden monster and the male griffin's experience, he's still far from leveling up. He glances back, asking her, "Didn't you say you caught a boss-level griffin?" Qingshan invites him to follow, which startles him. Qingshan tugs at a cover, revealing the monster, a 3-headed griffin, boss level, level 22, with a combat power of 19-0. The system warns that the Griffin King possesses lightning, fire, and wind abilities, advising to steer clear. Yang inquires if he's frightened, informing him that 1 in 100 griffins is a Griffin King, a challenge beyond his abilities. Despite the Griffin King barely clinging to life, Qingshan doubts his ability to harm it. She teases him, calling him Freaky Bean Sprout, implying that he should give up because the task is too daunting. He grips his knife tightly, reassuring her that she needn't worry and instructs her to observe. With an attempt to stab the Griffin King, his knife snaps in half. Yang chuckles at his misfortune while he stares at his shattered blade. He realizes that without the heavenly sword, breaking through the Griffin King's defense proves a challenge. However, he can sense its feeble breath. Closing his eyes, he concentrates deeply under the watchful gaze of the Griffin King. Upon reopening his eyes, he mutters, 10 times the power. He launches a counterattack, slashing at the King Griffin's neck, causing the creature to shriek in agony. Both Yang and Qingshan express surprise. Qingshan wonders whether Ye Bei had truly comprehended the muscle-pounding breath technique due to his exceptional talent, or if his family's inherited technique was indeed so miraculous. The system notifies him that he has defeated the 3-headed Griffin King, rewarding him with plus 15,000 experience points and plus 53,000 gold. His level increases to 10, with 9 undistributed attribute points added. He also acquires a Griffin battle armor. As he considers the fortune he's about to amass, the system congratulates him on being the first to kill the boss, rewarding him with a boss treasure chest. Furthermore, he has met the job transfer condition. The system then prompts him, asking if he wishes to initiate the transfer process now. They were all silent for a moment. Lu Qingshan told Ye Bei that he hadn't expected him to comprehend the art of muscle-pounding breathing at such a young age. In response, Ye Bei proudly stated that he was, after all, a genius. However, he decided not to reveal to Lu Qingshan the existence of his system. Ye Bei then turned to Boss Qian, but was interrupted when his system alerted him that the boss's treasure, the Griffin battle armor, had been sent, urging him to check on it. Without delay, Ye Bei hurriedly assured Boss Qian that he had transferred the money and excused himself. This left them confused. As he ran, Ye Bei could not help but feel exhilarated at the thought of the amazing armor he'd acquired from the boss's treasure chest. He was eager to try it on. Later, at Ye Bei's house, he examined the Griffin battle armor with a gleeful smile, remarking that it truly was a boss treasure. It offered incredible defense and even the ability to fly. He pondered whether the heavenly sword would even be able to penetrate it. His system displayed the armor's stats: defense plus 80, additional skill flight with a duration of 30 minutes and a cooldown of 5 hours, equipment level 10. The evaluation read: a true treasure armor with astonishing defense. Bullets can't penetrate it. Even the heavenly sword only causes minor damage to its durability. Ye Bei turned his gaze to his bed, where a village establishment token lay. He picked it up, pondering its purpose and whether it had also come from the boss's treasure chest. Despite his curiosity, he declared that the focus of the day was on himself, celebrating that he had finally reached level 10. He commanded the system to initiate a job change. The system complied, lighting up and displaying the job change options. First, there was the mage, a long-range profession that uses magic to explore the universe's truths. That sounded interesting to Ye Bei. Next, the system presented the warrior option, proficient in various weapons, brimming with intent, and pushing past limits. This appealed to Ye Bei. The final option was the Buddhist monk, compassionate and merciful, with the ability to enlighten all beings and a furious gaze that eradicates evil. After considering the job change options, the system prompted Ye Bei to choose his preferred direction. He selected the warrior job, stating that it suited him best. The system confirmed his choice. Job change selection detected: warrior. As he felt a surge of energy course through his hands, the system began the process, stating: job change initiated. Muscles, meridians, and bones are being strengthened. Pain surged through his body as a powerful light emitted from him. The job change process commenced shortly after. Despite the discomfort, he successfully transitioned his role and felt a powerful energy coursing through him. Once he'd finished showering, the system presented his stats. His job was now a level 10 warrior with combat power ranging from 650 to 900. His strength had grown from 19.3 to 62, agility remained at 7, defense at 10.2, and intelligence at 10, with 30 unallocated attribute points remaining. His skills included Ant Power and Lion's Roar. His inventory consisted of Azure Wolf Claws, a Heaven Sword, and Griffin Battle Armor. He studied his stats and realized his combat power had tripled. He felt confident that defeating the Griffin King would now be an easy task. He placed his drink on the table and sat down. He pondered that typical monsters would no longer provide him the experience he needed. It appeared that it was time to venture into the wilderness. The system alerted him that he had reached level 10 and that the main quest had been initiated. Displayed was the primary quest of the War God's Path, which required him to earn the recognition and admiration of at least 10 million people through his martial arts. The evaluation of this quest was that as a warrior, his fame should resonate worldwide, and he should be admired universally. This was the first step toward becoming a war god. The quest's inspiration was titled Warpath Mastery. Another system notification introduced a side quest named Showing His Edge. The quest required him to slay 20 beasts above level 10. The evaluation for this side quest suggested that a warrior could avoid bloodshed, and by undertaking this mission, he could demonstrate his progress and further embark on the warrior's path. The quest's rewards included 1,000 gold and 15,000 experience points. Ye Bei contemplated how the system seemed to push him towards the wilderness. If that were the case, he thought, it was time he experienced the dangers of the wild. In Qingcheng City, he found himself at the Adventurers Guild. He gazed at the building, realizing it was the place where wilderness exploration quests were issued. He watched as a man standing on a chair called out, recruiting hunters for the Golden Winged Tiger King. They needed 4 third-rank warriors urgently, and particularly a wind attribute awakened individual. The price, he said, was negotiable, and positions were on a first-come, first-served basis. Turning around, he saw another man shouting about a mission to collect 100 snake gallbladders from the 10,000 snake caves, with a reward of 8 million coins. The Adventurers Guild reminded him of his past life's online games. However, he noted that about 80% of the guild's members were awakened individuals, reflecting their elevated status. A young woman approached him from behind, inquiring if he was a newcomer and if he required any help. She expressed her joy in assisting others. He responded by calling her auntie, indicating he was just browsing. This term angered the woman, who he learned was named Menu, and she demanded to know why he had called her auntie. Flustered, he rationalized that he was only in his 2nd year of high school, and if not auntie, then what else could he call her? Menu retorted, calling him a brat and threatening trouble. At that moment, Yang called to him from behind, asking what he was doing there. He looked back and saw Luo Qingshan and Yang waving at him. He quickly grasped Luo Qingshan's hand, telling him it was good to see him. He pushed Ye Bei hand away and told him it was enough. Luo Qingshan told Menu to give him some respect and let the matter go, leaving Menu stunned. Menu walked away, telling Luo Qingshan that Ye Bei had better be smarter next time. As Manu walked away, Ye Bei looked at him and asked Luo Qingshan if all the people in the Adventurers Guild were strange. Luo Qingshan agreed, explaining that they had been fighting in the wilderness, struggling with death for years. That's why it was natural for their nerves to be a bit tense. Luo Qingshan then asked what he was doing there. He replied, saying that he wanted to go to the wilderness to experience it. Yang asked if he was going alone, warning him that the wilderness was full of danger. She told him that, given his current abilities, he would likely be eaten by a fierce beast within an hour. Ye Bei, however, mocked her, calling her a violent woman and telling her not to talk about him because he didn't think she was any better. They became angry with each other, with Yang calling him a weird bean sprout and challenging him to a fight. Ye Bei defiantly told her to bring it on, claiming he was not afraid of her. The people around them started to cheer, encouraging them to fight, while Luo Qingshan grew angry. He dragged both of them away. Later, Ye Bei, nursing a headache, told Luo Qingshan that he had been too ruthless. Luo Qingshan replied that he might not understand the full extent of his power, but the Adventurers Guild was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. He advised Ye Bei not to cause trouble there. Ye Bei said he understood. Luo Qingshan suggested that, with Ye Bei's current strength, killing some scattered monsters to gain experience could indeed improve his abilities. But he reiterated Yang's warning that the wilderness was extremely dangerous. While Luo Qingshan sipped his beer, Ye Bei excitedly said that he had traveled far and wide. He asked Luo Qingshan to tell him about the situation in the wilderness. Luo Qingshan agreed, making Ye Bei smile happily. Luo Qingshan explained that the environment outside Qingcheng City was complex. The most dangerous areas were the 4 major danger zones nearby. When Ye Bei asked about these zones, Luo Qingshan explained that to the east was Fierce Tiger Mountain, home to thousands of fierce monsters led by the Golden Winged Tiger King. To the west lay the Muddy Marsh, treacherous at every step and ruled by the brutal, double-headed Crimson Dragon. The south held the Enchanted Flower Sea, beautiful yet deadly, ruled by the 1,000-armed Flower Demon who enjoyed draining the life from people. And 300 miles from Qingcheng City was Mount Lu, where the most powerful monster in the area, the stone statue of the Ghost King, resided. Opening a map, Luo Qingshan pointed out these 4 major danger zones outside Qingcheng City. In addition to these, he warned that other places were also full of dangers. Ye Bei smiled, imagining all the fierce monsters and wondering how many levels he could advance by killing them. Luo Qingshan saw Ye Bei smiling and wondered why Ye Bei seemed more excited than usual. Clearing his throat, Luo Qingshan advised Ye Bei that he could enhance his strength by dealing with scattered fierce monsters. There was no need to venture deep into the wilderness. However, Ye Bei reassured Luo Qingshan, affirming that he understood what he needed to do, and, acknowledging that time was of the essence, announced his imminent departure from the city. Later, at the defense wall of Qingcheng City, Ye Bei was halted by the military. They informed him that he was in a restricted area, inquiring whether he had a pass and why he was attempting to leave the city covertly. Unexpectedly, Ye Bei pointed behind the soldier, alerting him to the presence of a flying fierce monster. When the soldier turned back to check, he found nothing. Confused, he turned back only to find that Ye Bei had vanished, leaving him wondering about Ye Bei's whereabouts and questioning why he would risk his life unnecessarily. Meanwhile, in Jixing Town, Ye Bei studied a rat, remarking to himself about the desolation of the outside world. As his system displayed the red-eyed giant rat's stats, combat power, and evaluation, he prepared for battle, drawing his spear and summoning its power. The system revealed that his Wind Thunder Spear had an attack power of plus 350, was worth plus 3,000 gold, and inflicted wind and thunder attributes. The effects of a wound inflicted by the spear were severe. The wounds would continue to tear, and the surrounding flesh and blood would be struck by lightning, causing necrosis. The item was at level 10. With these considerations in mind, he launched at the rat, seeking to test his abilities. His attack was successful, killing the rat and breaking the ground in the process. The system rewarded him with plus 3 experience and plus 1 gold. Looking at the dead rat, he mused that it wasn't worth his effort, but he couldn't help feeling happy about the monster hunting life he had longed for. Just then, he noticed the other rats beginning to stir. The rat seemed furious, squeaking threateningly before charging at him. He considered changing his strategy. If tackling individual rats was ineffective, he would try fighting them as a group. With perfect timing, he decided to test a new move. He leapt to avoid the rats and activated a warrior technique with his spear, invoking the Wind Thunder Spear. Conjuring images of dragons and eagles, he struck at the rat below him.